This is WFO Radio.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there? WFO! NHRA is back this weekend, the Denso 4 Wide in Vegas. It's going to be great, most importantly, because we're getting the season rolling. We're getting rolling. And one thing that we do on WFO Radio every year, like as long as I can remember, is a preseason conversation with Ron Capps. And as you probably know, Ron Capps is a friend of the show. And whenever we do something out of the ordinary or experimental, like the happy hour shows, for instance, Capps is one of the first people we call. And I just love, getting a state of the season kind of conversation with Capps to watch him go through the whole thing. This year, of course, is going to be very different with Dean Antonelli and John Medlin and kind of a new team around him. I would love to know a lot of details about that relationship, and we'll be talking to Capps moments from now. So if you're a fan of shoe racing or Capps in particular, you're going to want to share this show because we're going to cover a lot of ground, like what he's been up to, what he's doing, all of that stuff as we get ready for the Denso Vegas 4 Wide this weekend. Remember, Capps was #1 qualifier at the Gator Nationals. And so that's coming up just seconds from now. Ron's down there in the ready room, the green room, if we had such a thing. But first, I got to tell you about the people who make it possible. I did a special thing for our VIP listener club today, a welcome. When we get a new VIP patron, we always welcome them, like, hey, welcome. And we're just seeing like the number of patrons has gone through the roof. We're up around 40, which is shocking and amazing at the same time. And so real happy about you individuals out there who make it possible for us to do the show, but also big companies like Matt Hartford and the team over there at Total Seal Piston Rings, making it possible for WFO to thrive. Go to TotalSeal.com to find out more information, whether you have a stock eliminator car, super stock car. They do rings for a lot of the higher end series in world motorsports. Check them out, TotalSeal.com, and the podcast that is Hidden Horsepower. We learn all kinds of great stuff from the legends of engine building. Also, samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. I love these guys because the next generation of crew chiefs and EFI tuners and engine machinists, the next generation of legends that will end up on Hidden Horsepower, they are going to samtech.edu. So check it out. Also, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Frank and Lana. Good start to the year for those guys with the big Tony Stewart goes to Frank Hawley's situation. Can't wait. I'm going to ask Capps about Tony Stewart, but probably not what you're thinking. You're definitely going to want to stick around. Go to frankhawley.com if you want to get in on the dragster adventure where you can drive a dragster and become hopelessly addicted to this sport like we all are. You'll love it. It'll be great. And of course, Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. I am enjoying that Nitro Madness Epic Blend, which was in the studio yesterday, but is not today because I was drinking it. And it's great. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821, and get in on the Coffee Club program. Coffee Club, baby, Coffee Club. Also, our friends at Nitro Fish put out the WFO Radio t-shirts, and our WFO store will tell you about that a little bit later. But now we're getting ready to go down to Ron and making sure he's all ready to go. Let's try to catch him when he's unprepared, actually. Let's try. Okay, he's prepared already. Oh, look at him. We got you. Ron, you're on the air, Ron.
Oh.
How's it taste, Ron? Just kidding.
Noonan.
Right. $50 says he eats it. Come on. Yeah. Oh, he's hungry. Oh, he was hungry. That was great. I love that I can talk Caddyshack with you.
Yeah.
Because
I'll always talk Caddyshack. It's one of my favorites.
Like the old guys that think Caddyshack was the greatest, funniest movie ever.
Now when I joke about it, it's dad jokes. Some of my friends say, I'm like, what's the difference? I was doing the same thing 20 years ago. Now it's a dad joke.
Do you do, dad jokes, like corny jokes? You know what? Old movie references don't count as dad jokes, kids. Old movie references are something that's going to last forever. Dad jokes are just a fad, in my opinion.
I'll go with that.
There you go. But since we're talking Caddyshack for a moment or two, it was filmed, the golf scene, it was filmed here in South Florida. And the country club scenes, down the street, literally from WFO Studios. So we took a very special interest in that movie for many years. So Caddyshack trivia comes up, and there was a question that I always like to ask just to see like how crazy you are. Are you ready?
Okay, let's hear it.
What day is Caddy Day at the pool?
Oh, see, I don't know that.
Oh, it's
I should know that.
1 to 1:15 p.m. It's a 15-minute window. Okay, and of course the golf, the big caddy tournament, right? Everybody remembers the caddy tournament that Danny Noonan had to win
Yeah.
To get the scholarship. So anyway, first prize was the scholarship, but there was also a second and third prize. Any clue what they were?
Wasn't one of them that he got to work at his house, like clean up his house? Or,
no, that was just like
waiter
servitude by the judge, just to bring in poor caddies to do labor at his house. It was a pack of socks and a bag of teas. Pack of socks.
I remember that. Yeah.
Bag of teas, like really pouring it on the caddies. The wealth.
That must have been ad-libbed, I'm sure.
The whole movie was ad-libbed. Rodney Dangerfield. I'm sure you've seen the 30-year anniversary. He just did the whole deal. Anyway, you did some celebrity stuff just the other day. Let's start there. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, can't wait for Vegas. But yeah, it's been a long wait since Gainesville. Obviously, a long wait for our fans. And Gainesville was nice. It was good to get out on the track. It was weird to start the race season there. But for me, there was a lot of moving parts with Tobler retiring and getting put together with Guido and John Medlin and really the whole team. So I was trying to fill out, get names of my crew people, and I got to say crew people because we have a girl on our team named Jessica, and she's a worker. In fact, I just reposted the truck pulling out of the shop in Indy, and she was driving it, hitting the road. But so anyway, I can't say crew guys all the time.
No. And that's good, by the way. Do you know Jessica prior to this?
And I've known her for a long time. She actually worked in our hospitality. You know, you get fans and people that want to go on the road, and they come up all the time, want to hand me a resume and say, how do I get on a team like yours or any of these DSR teams? And I would say, get a resume together. If you got a CDL, it's better. You get paid more. Jessica and a lot of team members that are actually on these teams started in our hospitality serving food because they knew that if they got into DSR, some of our best crew members started there, that they transition. If a spot opens on a team and somebody knows that they're in the organization, Don's real big on that they get moved to a team. And she used to come over and work on our team when she got off work in hospitality. And she'd come over and work and outwork some of the guys. And so anyway, she left, went to work for, I think, Scott Palmer's team for a while.
That's where I got to know her, at Palmer. And we had some conversations at SEMA. And you know how it is. You see someone, everyone's working their butts off, but you see someone and be like, man, this person is really trying really hard to be in on this. And now she's like part of the NAPA team.
And it's cool because Gear Wrench is one of our new sponsors. They came on board and they already at preseason testing did a whole thing with her and just really kind of behind the scenes to give some of these girls at home that may want to think about maybe could I work on a top fuel team or a funny car team. So it's gonna be fun to watch that come out on social media. But so anyway, yeah, just getting used to my team. And then we took that sort of raw energy that we had in preseason testing. We were consistent. We weren't the quickest, but we were close. Took that to Gainesville and unloaded and went low ET. And I got the first Camping World Series low qualifier #1 hat of 2021. So that was pretty cool. Good way to start. And we would love to have won the race. But anyway, we got a #1 hat.
So let's unpack a lot of this in that for Tobler to retire, that has to be very difficult. And you love the guy and you've been through a lot. And last season was incredibly emotional, thinking about the loss of Eric and so many things. And for that period to end or to close it, depending on how you want to look at things, right? But like that period of Ron Capps' racing career is now over. You're still in a NAPA car, but you're with a totally different group. Not that you're unfamiliar with the group, which we'll talk about, but that's got to be emotional. It's got to be a thing like, wow, this is now part of history.
It is. And this happened before, ironically, with my teammate, Jack Beckman. Tim Richards and Kim Richards were on my team. They abruptly decided not to race anymore in Las Vegas in 2012. We didn't qualify. And I got a phone call Saturday night from Don at that time, and he said, I'm going to swap teams with you and Jack. I didn't know Tobler real well before then. So anyway, long story short, we swapped, and the rest is history with Tobler and I. And here it comes again. Tommy Johnson, Jack are out because of no sponsorship. Luckily, Don kept Guido and John Medlin and that Infinite Hero team intact throughout the offseason. There was a chance Jack had some stuff he was working on, and Don did as well. didn't happen. And then Tobler, boom, decided to retire. And Guido, being a longtime friend of mine, I just wasn't sure we were ever going to get to work together. He thought when Don called him in his office that he was getting let go or getting furloughed, because there was nowhere to have a team. John Collins had left to go on to Cruz Pedregon. So lo and behold, he goes in and he's expecting his whole team's going to get let go. And he's told he's getting put together with me and Napa. And so that whole team, and it was great because you think of us team members and we joke sometimes about it, but there's times the whole weekend I won't run into Tony Schumacher or Antron or any of these other team members or teammates because you're so engrossed in what you're doing throughout a weekend. And then you just never get a chance sometimes to get to know anybody on another team. Well, I didn't know anybody. I knew one guy, and that was a car chief, T-Buck, on that Infinite Hero team. So anyway, it was neat to put personalities to the faces at preseason testing. Guido and Medlin I've worked before with. I've been around. I just didn't know the crew members, and so it's been fun. And I've said before, these crew members, any driver will tell you, they are probably more closer to you than your family sometimes because you do spend more time with them during a year. So yeah, it's fun and I can't wait. So it's been a long break since that Gainesville race, and we just couldn't wait for the second race in Vegas, and we were fingers crossed. I was, team members, NHRA, and the fact that they came out and said they were going to allow fans and a certain more amount of fans. And then right after that, Vegas tweeted out that it was sold out, which is awesome. Not so awesome for nobody that got tickets, but I mean, it just tells you where our sport is and how rabid our fans are right now. So yeah, man, it's just a lot going on in that amount of time between Gainesville and our Vegas race.
Well, yeah, it's been troubling, and it's good times lie ahead. We talk about it each week here on the show, and maybe we're overly optimistic sometimes, but we're clawing our way back to normalcy. And I really think mid-season, and man, if you've ever liked drag racing, like this is the year to come back, right? Like to announce like, man, I liked drag racing at one point in my life and I want to go back now. Now's the time. You've been pent up for a long time. Everybody's been frustrated and things are getting back to normal. People are vaccinated. Like this is the year to come out and enjoy the sport.
Yeah, times are weird. And they just, like you said, it's just kind of wait and see. Like we got the note from NHRA on, obviously Atlanta being moved. So we've got the qualifying order and all that stuff, which the race is going to happen once you get that from NHRA. Then you hear about four wide and ZMAX. We got that. So then the rumors are floating around. Maybe Richmond might be up in the air. Well, we had a conference call with NHRA and that's looking good. So it's just as things open up. And so I'm just so happy for our fans because we're coming into races right now, Joe, as you remember, that we're just past a year from when COVID hit. So we're coming to these races that we didn't get to go to last year. There was no four wide at either ZMAX or Vegas. We didn't go to Richmond. We didn't go to Atlanta. We were defending champions at both the Atlanta race and the Richmond race with our NAPA brakes car last year. And so it was a bummer not to see those fans and go back to those tracks because of COVID. So it's really cool to go back now. And it doesn't seem like it's been 2 years. It seems longer. Yeah. But I'm very happy for those fans. And on top of that, Atlanta with the last race they're ever going to have there as far as a national event. A lot of crazy stuff, but it's nice to see these things open up and have these bright lights shine on these races as they come. And of course, Pomona is going to be announced. Hopefully it'll be in the summer from what I hear. The winter nationals may become the summer nationals. I don't know, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, well, total optimism. If we get a negative story, we're ready to ride it out. There's been plenty of negative stories. We just, this is what it is, getting back to business. All right, you mentioned Guido and John Medlin, and you guys there's history, though. Like this is serendipity or something, right? At the end of your career, not the end of your career, but you get it. Certainly on the back half of your career, that would be a great career unless you, drive to be John Force time, which, maybe you will. But look at these guys. Speaking of Force, there's Eric, there's Guido. So it's not like these are new relationships, but those guys, man, those guys are skinny, man. Like, look at Guido. Wow.
John, I'd asked because Ashley, the Force girls actually gave me that picture. I didn't know. I think Courtney's the one that texted me and said she actually took that and she had to have been 7 or 8 years old. Maybe she can probably correct us. Yeah. So I remember back then, because there was a chance I was going to go to work for John Force when I left the Top Fuel thing before I went to Snakes. He flew me and my wife down, and there was a chance I was going to be his first, before Tony Pedregon became his team driver. So it was almost a done deal. And I spent a weekend, a little longer than that, down at his house, and got to know his whole family and spent time with the girls. They were so young back then. So anyway, to get that picture was cool in a couple different senses. First, of course, Eric Medlin.
Yes.
But Guido and I go way back, because when I was on the Top Fuel team that I drove for Roger Prim, I also worked on it, and I had a CDL, and myself and Terry Manzer, the crew chief, we were the truck drivers. So we traded off driving the truck down the road. And so there was times in between races that we spent, and John Force's guys back then kind of took us under their wing and showed us where you get dry cleaning, where you hang out. And we spent a couple weeks in Dallas between races one time, and I got to know Guido really well. We hung out. He was one of the crew members on John's car. And so we became really good friends. And lo and behold, here we are, I don't know how many years later, but that picture's cool because Force is driving, which is scary in its own thought. I don't know what we were doing, where we were going, but the thought that he's got behind the wheel. And then the fact that Courtney said that she took the picture, so she was in the front seat. And I think we were at Pomona, might have been during a rain out or something. But I always hung out in John's pit area when I drove Top Fuel, because he was grooming me to be his next team guy. And I just spent a lot of time with John, going to dinner and different events and hanging out with him a lot. So yeah, that picture means a lot, and it's really cool to look back on now.
Well, it ties all so much history together, like in one photo. Like if Courtney took it, and John is there, and Eric is there, and of course John is now your co-crew chief, and like that, I look for little energy connections in the world, like when I'm like predicting things, and like, boy, that could work out, right? Because of all these weird little energy connections. I think it's the Italian in me. I don't know. You know, we believe in the superstitious stuff, but there's something there, Caps.
I hope so.
There's something there, like, and Dean, who to me, I've never had Dean on WFO. It's a terrible, bad stat. Sorry, Dean. It's just a bad stat. It's an accident, but you're going to be on this year, definitely. But they are the smartest people in drag racing. Do you know why?
Does he wear your shirt? Maybe?
I'll tell you, because Dean works for Don Schumacher Racing and Kelly works for John Force Racing.
There you go.
So they win.
There you go.
They always win. The Antonelli.
Yeah.
Always win.
They're celebrating something usually, right?
Oh, tough day, good day. Good day, tough day. Whatever. They're always winning. But I also wonder, is this good for you in that out of the comfort zone? New guys, new stuff, no nonsense. Like, you know, here to make a statement. I know, I'm sure Guido is. I'm sure John is. They're not there to do this for, you know, they want to win. They want to have fun. But there's an intensity about them. You too. So talk a little bit about the statement of the mission for this group.
When I got put together with Tobler, that I think they were a week off before the next race when that happened. And it was the 4 wides in Charlotte. We went on to, I think we went to 6 final rounds together, something ridiculous like that. And then we had a stack going of like 60 something runs without smoking the tires. I mean, it just meshed, and, you know, it was a great race car. And, but I was a nervous wreck going to that next race. New team, which I didn't know them very well either at the time. Different crew chief, completely different car, things in different spots, you know, a little bit back then. And just I felt like a freshman again. I just really felt like a rookie going into something brand new at that time. And so it was fun. It was really exciting. And I felt that way after Don called me and told me we were being put together. There were a lot of things. I talked to Guido on the phone, and there were a lot of things. I've worked with John Medlin, so I know how he thinks, and he's a mad scientist. Sometimes we joke with him, but he is always, his mind is 10 years ahead. And there's a lot of stuff you can't do with what his mind is thinking about, but it gets shelved. And then it's funny how it comes around, and I'll say, I remember when you came up with the idea that 15 years ago. And there it is on the race car. So for the fans at home, I don't even know if this is public. I might even be speaking out of school here. There's a nickname that we always had for their team, and now I'm part of that. But they called them Team NASA. And then they start. So when parts would be delivered, it would go to Team NASA, not the Intrepid Fallen Heroes team. It was Guido and Medlin always were on this, thinking about this stuff, right? And then they started calling us some type of a tractor. It was the name of a tractor because Tobler's old school 5-disc, simple. So when parts would be sent in, where there were pistons or whatever, it would be to the tractor team. So it became this whole thing. And what's funny is if fans now look, there's a little NASA space shuttle that's on the bar that holds the pole up for the body pole, on that body pole. And sometimes it's in the tow vehicle. When they come to interview me, you might see it in there. So it's been sort of a lucky charm, and we've had teams try to take it to prevent some good luck. But and you'll see sometimes, and fans may not have known before, and now you'll know that using little Giphies, I guess you call them, of a NASA guy, and now you'll know while I'm putting this astronaut or this NASA Giphy with some of these posts at different times. It's a joke that was sort of, I guess now it's open and it's out to every fan. But so I'm now part of the NASA team.
Team NASA.
So, yeah, and so it's been fun, and that was fun right away. I mean, all of a sudden Guido calls me and it's like, hey, well, this is what we do different. Obviously, 6-disc clutch, much like Dickie Venable's team. We were sort of the 5-disc with John Collins' team. So these guys were 6-disc, big power. Dean Guido likes to run the car a lot like how Austin Coyle. He worked for Austin Coyle for years, so I think a lot of his mentality was that way. Having a right guy like John Medlin, it's a good mesh. I love sitting up there. I used to talk about with Tobler, and I'd watch what they do. And mechanically, I've worked on his cars, so I know a little bit, enough to know what they're trying and what to be ready for. It's a whole different world, man, with Guido and Medlin. And on top of that, there were some things, and I can't speak about all of them, but there's some things in the car completely different from what I've done in a car for sure the last decade or two. So I really had to get my mind changed and moved on how to drive a car. I really had to change up a lot of things. And so I think that's where running the March meet and running off of the Hot Rod Reunion and jumping in Altereds and Nostalgia Funny Cars and Sprint Cars and all these other things really came into play. Because this off season, when I found out I was driving their car, I really had to kind of go back to school. So preseason testing for me was really preseason testing. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't practicing. I was getting used to some new stuff. And same with Gainesville. I'm still not used to it completely, I'll be honest with you. And I still feel like a rookie in the car, but obviously we ran good. And I'm excited about going to 4-wide. It's going to be a whole new challenge with what I've got going on in this cockpit. So, a lot of new stuff, a lot of exciting stuff with that team beyond just being new to each other.
All right. So you first of all, a second Rodney Dangerfield reference with back to school. That's a different
You heard that. Huh?
Next thing we're going to be talking about the easy money, Ron, the easy money, right? But you're doing different stuff in the cockpit of the race car. I think that's interesting news to me, as in, okay, I knew the 5-disc, 6-disc thing was going to be a thing. And you posted a video, I just tweeted it out. I retweeted it. Straight as an arrow was what you said. And it was on Twitter and it was a run. And so I was listening. I watched that run like, I don't know, 10 times.
Oh my God.
Just rewinding, like trying to listen as the clutch comes in. And about, I don't know, I would say 2/3 of the way down the racetrack, the thing got, it got wild. But it was educational for me just watching the video over and over again. So, tell me about the experience now back with the 6 discs, not something you hadn't done before, but here you go from one to the next, from one race to the next. What's that like?
Well, that video, if you go watch it, it's still pinned to the top of all my social media. I think it's at the top of the Facebook and Twitter for sure. If you watch that thing about 200 feet out, it started sashaying and I could never get it back straight. I was just correcting it all the way down. It was like, it's almost what not to do in a Nitro Funny Car, but at the time you don't know anything otherwise but to try to hang on to this thing, and it's doing this, but it's still hauling the mail, so you don't want to lift or pedal or do anything. When I got back to Guido and Medlin, I go, that is like, that comes straight from the school of overdriving, like, but I couldn't stop, and they were laughing. They go all the way down, all you saw was Napa. So when I tweeted and posted that on Facebook, straight as an arrow. And I was like, then I put that thing up like, oh my God, I was laughing at myself. Like, I felt like the Copenhagen car in 1998. Like I was just hanging on to it, So anyway, that was part of this whole new feel of a car. And so what was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a very John Force thing to do right there. Ron. Just saying, a very John Force thing to do. No, you've been doing a great job with the social media. I love trying to learn from that perspective, being in the car, the camera was up and then the camera was down. Everybody needs to check it out. But the 6 disc, like the feel of the clutch coming in smoother, all of that.
Huge difference. We've run it before, and I've run it many years ago. I think we might have been one of the first to put it in a funny car way back in the day. Anyhow, it's a different feel. It's a different sound. If the fans got time and they want to buzz through all my social media, you can go back to the in-car cameras that I've always worn the glasses inside the helmet. When I shut the visor, it takes a lot of the sound away so you can really hear the engine. And if you go back to some of my runs with Tobler and a 5-disc, you'll hear it. And the sound of a nitro car is it's from an idle and it goes straight up to 8,000 RPM. So it goes ba 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 ba. That's a 5-disc. And when it locks up, it actually is like shifting a gear. The 6-disc, conversely, is you go bah! And when that RPM drops, it's pure just torque of the engine and trying to mow through that 6-disc. It's got an extra disc of material and it's just mowing through. And in the meantime, while it's doing that, you're pinning the G-forces, your chin, you feel like you're being shoved in the back seat while that engine's down and in sound and RPM, and then it starts to climb and you just start going for a ride. It's a crazy feeling. It's so different as a driver. So that is the main difference. You got to feel for it. You got to listen to it. When you pedal them, they're a little different to try to catch, little things like that. So there is, it's fun. It's another thing that's new and exciting for me. I mean, obviously we've been 5-disc since 2012 or so with Tobler, and we've won a lot of races. And we even ran the 6-disc for a while, and he hit it right on the head when we pulled it out. Tobler did, and we put it away because he just wasn't quite comfortable at the time with it. But here we are back with it, and we'll see how it goes.
For him, what was the point? He explained it many times. It's like, hey, man, I got all of this experience and data with this. I'm not going to be around for 10 years. I want to try to win now with the data I've acquired. And you guys did. You won a championship. You won many races. You finished in the top 5. It was great success. But now with Dean and John and Team NASA, you're on to something different. I think it's going to be great. So I did ask for some questions from our WFO Patreons, and we do have a live audience out there on social media right now. So people are going to have some questions. Hopefully they are sharing the show. And so Ron Capps is the star of Facebook and YouTube for the next 2 days. But I saw you with Roland Leong the other day, hanging out with Roland. Like, to me, okay, so Snake's book is over here.
Yeah.
I wonder, did you read Snake's book? I'm sure you did.
Oh,
you
yeah.
read all of that? Maybe your thoughts on Snake's book. And Roland takes a big part in that. So it all kind of goes together. So give me your thoughts on, what were you doing with Roland Leong 3 days ago, Ron?
Well, it was Snake's 80th birthday. And yes. I got a text from Snake. And when he texts you, it's like, hey, man, my house, April 10th, 4:00. And then you get the little snake thing. A little emoji, and that was it. That was the invite. So you don't want to miss a party like that. And of course, Roland, being one of his longest time friends, they won the year I was born. They won with Snake driving for him the Winter Nationals. I think they won Indy that year as well, if I'm not mistaken. But they go way back. Roland played a huge part in my career because when I came on board as a rookie for Snake, I had Tom Anderson, Al Hoffman's longtime crew chief, come on board. It was a big deal to have him. They one of the only teams that could run with force for those years, and we just couldn't get the car, barely qualified. We had a hard time with that setup, and so he called Roland and brought Roland in about, I think, the Richmond race, and Roland came in and just had a way about him of just kind of taking a step back and calming things down, and he got me my first win in a funny car in St. Louis, and we went on to win a lot of races, a lot of rounds together, a lot of runs in the heat. And so that was my inauguration, I guess. Well, Roland, I'd kind of met him before match racing back before he quit having his own team, but that was really when I got to know him. We rode together in my rental car to and from the track. So got to be great friends with him. And so he was there obviously at the party. Ed Pink, Waterbed Fred. I mean, the list goes on and on. Richard Tharp. Pretty cool party. I mean, I'm leaving names out and I don't want to name drop too much, but very cool party. Anytime you're at Snakes in Rancho Santa Fe having drinks with some of those people, it was a good time. So it was good to see Roland and everybody else there, especially Ed Pink. That was
Oh my
cool.
God. Well, Ed, I've been fortunate to interact with Ed now twice in the last 6 months through this Hidden Horsepower podcast I do for Total Seal. And just so amazing what he has been able to do with his career, starting out in that area where, Keith Black, Ed Pink, Kenny Youngblood, everybody kind of coming out of that area. And then going on doing like high-end Porsche stuff, just amazing. But also
USAC, IndyCar. I mean, gosh,
everything.
he made it, and he's, I think, 90. He told me at the party, 90 or 91, something like that. So still sharp as a tack. It was pretty cool.
And connected to Pink's Hot Dogs, which was very interesting to me.
I didn't know that.
His uncle, Pink's
Is
Hot
that
Dogs.
right?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ed Pink.
Wow.
Yes. Ed Pink and Pink's Hot Dogs. And during the Hidden Horsepower podcast, he says, next time you're over here, we'll go over there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how great would that be? Not to go with Ed Pink, to cut the line at Pink's Hot Dogs. That would be great for us. No, those guys are legends. Snake, any surprises in the book? Like I read the book and I had some interesting, observations. Obviously the stuff about Snake, realizing his heritage and all of that. But I don't know. To me, a lot of the old school, like racing stuff was cool. And the fact that Snake was not confident was, I don't know, eye-opening to me. Like Snake was not confident on the inside. He just looked super cool and confident on the outside.
Yeah.
It was
first time I really, and a lot of people have worked and been around him will tell you, first time he really opened up on a lot of things. That's the coolest part about that book. If you don't have it as a fan, get it, because it's not just a book you put on your coffee table. There's some pretty cool stuff that he opens up about that he never has. And it was pretty neat. I wasn't aware, as a sort of a historian of the sport, early on, that, the Tommy Ivo car with a 4-wheel drive with the 4 engines and all that. Snake was the guy that first drove that. And that sort of what started his career. And I've had Tommy Ivo tell me this story. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be driving as an kid actor, but Snake was on that crew. He was just a guy that worked on Tommy's stuff, and he hopped in that thing. And I think that sort of started that bug and really got him sort of into the seat and what became, an unbelievable career.
Yeah, an unbelievable career. And I think about you and the fork in the road, Force, Snake, that kind of thing, the way it worked out, just amazing. But there is like this family thing that's going on with the sport of drag racing. It obviously goes all the way back. All right, some of our Patreons asked some questions. I'm going to get some of them to you. Derek wanted to know what your daily driver is, like your daily car. Like, I got to go get some milk. Like, what are you going?
The thing I drive the most is my wife's Hemi Chrysler 300. We got it a couple years ago, and it's like the thing I'll go jump in just to run anywhere. I've got my Roy Brizio street rod. I love driving when I'm home. Roy builds them to drive, and I love driving it. I'm nervous driving it sometimes. It's got a lot of power for a light car, but the Chrysler 300 Hemi is the go-to car.
Nice. Now, you used to have, back before all the Dodge stuff, before you were like Dodge guy, you had a CTS-V, right? I remember we talked about that, like one the 4-door with the clutch and everything. That I have one of those, and that's why I know that.
I had one of the first. We were Chevrolet sponsored with Don Perdomes, and we brought Camaro Z28 back into drag racing. Herb Fischel was head of GM Motorsports, and he got me when I'd read all the stuff that was coming out way before it came out and how cool it was going to be. Tested at Nürburgring and all that stuff, and got me on the list early. And so I was one of the first to get that 6-speed manual, and just sold it last year. Was such a bummer. 40,000 miles, and it was my daily driver when I was home. But miss that car.
Well, but what you got is got more power and 4 doors, and you can carry everyone around. You can carry the milk from the grocery store. It is bigger,
and it's got a Hemi in it too.
You're
Can't
Dodge
say that
guy.
about everything.
You're Dodge. Well, that's why Dodge paying the big money for that moment right there. Dumped the other one, got the Dodge. He's super happy. That's what it's all about. That's why we need manufacturers. Jerry Ford says that Snake was Ivo's tire wiper, and he was at the party the other day.
Yeah, true story. Yeah, Jerry was there. Yeah, another old friend.
That's I love the fact that we've got people logging on to see you. What do you think about Richard Hartman's 4-second A fuel altered run at over 300 mile per hour, first to 300? Were you tracking that story, the funny car chaos deal? And we had Hartman on, Dave Fletcher also last week talked about it. As someone who loves the altereds and has won in one, and that thing was pretty wild. What did you think of what Hartman did?
Awesome. Yeah, you bet I was watching. I've got Flow Racing, so when they said they were streaming it on Flow Racing, I was so happy. So yeah, I was on the couch waiting, having Dell text me, and I was texting Tim Wilkerson too. And I texted him right after that run, because the second run he made, when he actually went faster, from behind it had this puff of smoke, and I thought it'd smoked the tires. And then behind the smoke, the scoreboard lit up, and I thought, what the heck? So I texted Tim, and he told me it was rubbing the tire a little bit. But man, what a crazy thing to do. Obviously, that's, that thing is a funny car chassis with that T-bucket body on it. But you got to imagine quarter-mile run at that speed in an open cockpit like that. Kudos to Richard. He's such a great, yeah. So I enjoyed it. Yeah, I felt like I was right there. So that was pretty cool.
No, I feel like it's the story of the year so far. Like, I don't know. It was out of the ordinary, right? It like broke the normalcy. Like, let's do something different and weird, and went out and did it and got it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm not sure I would strap into that thing, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it was fun. God, that had to have been a heck of a ride.
You would be fine.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, I think you'd be fine. Kev wants to know, push, pull, brake, like what's the difference, all that stuff.
Well, it's funny you asked that. Obviously, most drivers have a pull brake. In case you don't know, as a fan, Top Fuel and Funny Car, we don't have a regular brake like a normal car. We have a big brake handle. It comes up on the right side, and most 90% of them, it's a pull brake. You pull on them. I've had that in my career for 26 years, 25 years. Well, this year I have a push brake, and it is way different, way different. So it's just a preference. Some crew chiefs, some drivers like it. I know Robert Height, I think, runs a push brake and has for a while. So it's different, Kev. To answer your question, it sent me into, quite a going back to school at the test session in Florida at preseason testing, because it was something completely new. And I told my new crew guys, I said, stay out of the way on the first burnout. And there was a time I got strapped in the car and we went to roll forward just to pull up to the starting line, and I was trying to pull on it and I didn't stop right away. I was like, whoa, okay, get straight here. So yeah, it's a huge difference.
Wow, I can imagine. But again, that's one of those things that now that you're focused on that, like maybe your unconscious mind will do everything else.
Probably the biggest change I've ever had in my career, period. So yeah, it's a lot. And now we're going to a 4-wide, so it's going to be a little bit more getting used to, but I'm slowly getting it.
Good. Okay, so let's talk 4-wide for a few minutes. Back doing it, like you said, all the last year I'm not going, which is something that I was okay with until about 45 minutes ago, when I found out they're going to have 4-wide jet dragsters there. And the guys on the former NAPA team, I used to yell fire. They loved it. It was great. We had a thing going on, right? I'm thinking about Booger.
Yeah.
The reason I kind of got more amped up with it, I did it once or twice as a goof, because this is what I want to do. And they encouraged my bad behavior. They were like, dude, you got to do it more. You got to do it more. And so I would do it more and more. And that's where Jet Car Joe really kind of came from. And now that I know that they're going to have a bunch of jet cars there, I'm a little more annoyed, but whatever. But 4-wide Vegas, you were the number one qualifier in Gainesville. All right, second round out, whatever. You don't have to win every round here. You just got to finish first or second in the first 2 quads, get to the final quad, that whole 4-wide style of racing. What do you think?
It's always exciting. And, there's some fans just don't like it. And every time and now when I post anything on my social media, especially Facebook, I put down below that if you say anything negative or come on here and post anything that's going to be derogatory or cuss words about the 4-wide, you're going to get bounced. Because I love that block button, and I will do it. And it irritates me when people get nothing better to do than not say anything than to say something negative. So I understand some fans don't like it. It's different. But as drivers, I tell you, and I've told you this before, I've told the media, there's nothing like that first run, really all weekend. But that first run, you make the turnoff and everybody pops out. And you're used to making a run and getting pushed off the track, and you unbuckle and you pop out of the top and you get interviewed, whatever. But you get out of the car, take your helmet off, you look over at who was next to you. You might say, hey, or, how was your run? After the 4-wide runs, I remember the very first time, Forrest forgot what lane he was in. He wasn't even staging his car. And then he's yelling at people the other end, thinking that somebody else wasn't staging. Tim Wilkerson had the biggest smile on his face. I'll never forget it. People are running around down there with like it was their first time ever driving one of these cars. So as drivers, it's so different, and there's so much going on. There's so many different things. It's crazy. So I look forward to that part of it. And I finally got a trophy from there. I approach it like a video game. It's so different that you just really have to sort of take everything in and not let yourself get confused and try to do your own thing. But Sundays, it's so weird because you're used to, if a car next to you, and being smart, if a car next to you is smokes the tires, you're going to make the run, you're going to win that round. You don't know what's going on in those other two lanes. So you can't let it go and just let up. So there's times we've won and I thought maybe we were done, and it turns out that actually the other two cars were having issues too. And sometimes if you're pedaling it, you can hear them pedaling it when you're off the gas on yours. And then on top of that, you may hear the car next to you. So there's a lot of crazy stuff goes on. So for the fans, it's quick, it's different. For the drivers, it's fun for most of them. The ones that say it's not fun, I'm not even sure. They just need to relax or maybe have a sense of humor a little bit and just go with the flow. It's just something different we do 2 times a year. It's not during the countdown.
Right.
It's just different.
Post-pandemic, man, don't sweat the small stuff. We're lucky to be out racing. Don't complain. That's my attitude.
And Bruton built, he spent the money to make a 4-lane track at both tracks. And both of them, guess what? What happened the first time that he made Vegas 4 wide? It sold out.
Yep.
What happened to ZMAX? Packed the stands, the first 4 wide we had there. So you can say what you want to say. It's all about Bruton, doing what he can to help the sport of drag racing.
Now, I saw that you tweeted the other day the 6 wide prank that was April Fools. Guy is talking about it too. It was funny. 6 wide.
That was fun.
What does Caps think the best April? I'm against April Fools. What was the best April Fools joke? And you think that the 6 wide drag racing was? I think it's kind of interesting. That was a good one.
It was just because they had they'd gone to Antron and Force, and they'd separately gone to us and actually had us play it up as if it was really going to happen. When they did that year and they put that video out, fans really were believing it until the very end. When they come on and say, just kidding, April Fools, because I get pissed off in the interview and I actually say, that's the stupidest thing in the world. I actually take this interview's dumb, and I take the microphone off and walk away. So, it was fun when they first came up with it. And I'd forgot about it till one of the guys at ZMAX sent it to me. So it was fun to put that back out.
We'll be there in a few weeks. Okay, Flitch wants to know why you haven't aged. That's a good question. No, really.
Trust me, I have.
Look at
maybe some G-forces.
Look at that guy. That guy?
I think I got a lot of my mom's genes. I got the dark hair. My brother sort of got my dad's genes a little bit. My mom's Portuguese. Maybe, I don't know. I'm glad. I'm happy. I haven't lost all my hair. But I think having a little bit of my mom's side of the family might have helped me a little bit.
There you go.
Doesn't help having a job drag racing, Joe. That might be the other thing, having the coolest job in the world.
Well, is that a good thing? Like, I remember Rick Stewart, like down there in between the nitro cars for many years. And I was like, boy, that's definitely doing something to his DNA. We just don't know what it is. Is it good? Is it bad? There's a lot of old folks around drag racing, man. Maybe it's good for you.
I don't think standing between them was the best idea for that long. If you talk to Rick, you got to yell at him to get him to hear you. But I think it's good. My mom and dad protected my ears when I was a little kid, and I've done a pretty good job about it. So that part of my the hearing's important. So I've always tried to take care of it. And if I see kids out there or parents that aren't exactly looking out for the kids, I'll take mine out of my pocket and give it to them, or run inside and get them earplugs.
It's a big part of it. Like, yeah, guys, wear the earplugs. All right. So the other day you did something cool with Jay Leno, and I don't know how much we can talk about, but I love any kind of cross promotion with TV shows, big celebrities. You're usually involved with those things. And, what can you tell us about this afternoon that you had?
Well, we're not sure which episode it'll air yet, and I'll put it out there when it does. But I was asked pretty recent, it was pretty last minute, to go up and shoot some stuff for Jay Leno's Garage Show. They have a bit that they do called Stump the Car Nerd. And if you've seen it, it's pretty cool. What they did was they blindfolded me, and then Jay and I are outside one of his roll-up doors. And So they'll have a car behind. They'll push one of his many cars behind the door. First, they'll blindfold me. First, they'll honk the horn. So you get an idea of, is it American made? I mean, you sort of know. And who hasn't, I'm sure you have, but who hasn't as a kid or growing up, if you sat around with your friends, had some beers and maybe tried to guess a car coming up the road or a car driving by or the sound of something? Like, I think that's what that is. But I never did it with Jay Leno. I was a little more nervous, and we joked about it because everybody's done it, and him and I talked about it. But so then they start the car. So you kind of hear how it starts. You know what I mean? Like, what's the starter sound like? As it kicks on, you get sort of what you think of an idea. When you're blindfolded, trust me, it changes everything. So then they roll the door up, and I get to go in, and Jay leads me in, and I get to go in and start feeling around on it. So obviously, first thing I do, I'm going on the hood, I'm feeling around the nose, the headlights. And if I'm not satisfied and it's not enough of a hint that Jay may give me, and I haven't guessed it yet, he'll open the door and guide me around, and I get to sit in it and feel around in there. So I'm in the cars, and we did 3 cars. Anyway, you sit in there and you try to guess. I won't tell you which cars they were, and I won't tell you how I did.
Yes. Okay.
I finished pretty good.
Okay.
But it's going to be pretty funny on my guesses. And then we got to go for a cruise in 2 of his coolest cars. And we had 2 earpieces, and we drove around Burbank and that whole area up in the hills and I couldn't believe I was in this car I was driving that was his, with him talking to me right behind me. And we chatted about all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a great segment. I really enjoyed the whole time up there. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Well, and you're the guy who can do that, right? Jay Leno, you've been around long enough. You've got all these great connections. You got the media savvy, the personality. As I said at the start, like, we need everybody that cares about drag racing to put drag racing back on the map. Like, this year, this has got to be a big year, because I actually think there's a lot of opportunity to bring people in that have never even seen the sport, who are just looking for something outdoors and fun to do away from their friends and family, and just go do something new. We got a big thing with that. Jay has done burnouts in Mark Powick's Pro Stock car back in the day.
I remember.
He loves drag racing. He's rolled over in the Hemi under glass. Like, this guy loves drag racing, obviously.
Yeah, and we talked about it. He remembers being at the drags, and he's friends with a lot of, it was Don Perdome and other guys he's been out there with. So we had a nice chat. He'd love to come back out and hang out at the NHRA. He loved going out there and driving that Pro Stock car. But he's such a unique guy, because he just, all cars. He doesn't drink. He doesn't have any hobbies. He doesn't golf. It's all about his cars. And I've been lucky enough to be there 3 times now. I did a Dodge Garage show, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago with Selzy, and just unbelievable what he has. And even there, we had a few minutes between shots, and he takes me over and shows me this Duesenberg from 1910 and a Mercedes race car from 1918 or something ridiculous, and was so proud. It was just like hanging out. And so he's that kind of guy. A lot of fun.
That's great stuff. All right, Ron, you've been on for 45 minutes. I appreciate how generous you are with your time and all that. So, final thoughts, final questions. Like, you posted, again, Robin, from your social media. Everybody loves your social. You do a great job. Oh, before I move forward, everybody go DVR Jay Leno's garage. Like, do that today. Let's make sure that nobody misses this show. I know Ron's gonna put
He's got a YouTube as well, where he does tours of his Jay Leno's garage, all his cars.
Jay
in there,
some love, right? Like, Jay Leno needs love from WFO Radio is what happens.
And you'll love it. It's pretty cool. Some of the stuff he has is amazing.
All right, but what's up with this? Let's talk about this.
I thought about it. I don't know. I got the 1980 Cruz Pedregon mustache, huh? That was the California State freestyle / Greco-Roman tournament that my brother and I actually did. He was a cadet, so he was a younger entry into that. But yeah, I've got a gold medal from that weekend. That was a final of the Greco final, and I was huffing and puffing and forgot even who took that, but I found it in some of the pictures. My whole house is a mess right now. COVID has allowed us to go through stuff that the fans, I got so much cool stuff. It's almost another show, Joe, of the stuff that fans bring by to us drivers that is the coolest thing. So I finally, 20 years of that, COVID allowed us to go through it. So you can't see it, but there's stuff everywhere. And so some of the pictures my wife was going through, and we pulled that up, and I thought, man, I got to put that out there.
You got to. Okay, so real quick, okay. How old is Ron Capps?
There, I was coaching my brother's wrestling team. I was out of high school. I want to say 20, maybe.
Okay, I'm doing a science project here. 20. Okay.
Yeah.
How old is Ron Capps?
Well, I was Copenhagen. I was U.S. Tobacco. It was year 2000. Gosh, maybe 30 at that point.
Okay. How old is Ron Capps?
Well, that looks like last year. So 50, 54, 50, 53.
So you do not age. You were the old kid with the 5 o'clock shadow when you were in high school. And
yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I could.
You're the same guy. That's pretty crazy stuff. All right. One more thing. You tweeted out some safety stuff the other day. John Hall, who his wife Annette is a friend of mine. They were super proud about their brand new PDRA car, and they go out and they put it on the wall and over the wall, and it's barrel rolling at the scoreboard. And I'm like, and it stopped. I think it touched the scoreboard. Galat is one of the most futuristic and advanced tracks. Speaking of scoreboards, they have like jumbotrons built into them. It's like a total digital thing. It totally should be emulated. But you put out something that I totally agree with you. I hate to spend money for people, but that one's been on my mind a little bit. Scoreboards, man. Scoreboards. Yikes. It was on your mind. It's always on my mind. What say you?
Well, Dell and I started the professional part of Pro, but we started a Pro Nitro Drivers organization. I forget what year it was. We just, after Scott got killed, we didn't have a voice for the drivers. A lot of them own their cars, but let's say there was conditions you weren't really comfortable with. Connie, a guy like Connie may say, we're going to run that car regardless. And somebody may turn around and pull out of the pits that is a driver. And so we're talking with Doug Coletta and Dell and Larry Dixon at the time. All these guys were like, we need somebody. So anyway, long story short, we started this organization. The first meeting we had, every driver showed up. It was cool. So Larry Dixon and I actually flew to a couple tracks during that, representing Pro, which looks out for the pro racers and owners. It's not anyway. It's a group that kind of looks out for the whole racing community and has discussions with NHRA. We were accepted into Pro when Kenny Bernstein was there at the time. Jimmy Nix, who was a friend, and I almost at one time was going to drive his Top Fuel car. He perished at a track in Dallas. Car went over the wall, hit the scoreboards, and that ended up taking his life. We just wanted to go to NHRA and say if any track was being built, we wanted to make sure to please push the mounts or any of the poles, if you could, move the scoreboards out. We didn't want tracks to have to go back and spend money that they really didn't have, although it would be awesome for NHRA to say this is what you have to do and figure out a way to do it. But listen, when we go down those tracks and you've seen explosions and blowups, and at that point, 1,000 foot, we've gone 339 miles per hour in a funny car. So cars are moving. And if something happens and we do go over the wall at that point, there's only one thing that's going to stop us abruptly, and it's going to be bad, and that is those poles or the scoreboards. So we would just love to have them moved out somehow. And again, it's a lot of cost for people. I've never been to that track. I heard it's awesome. I wasn't ripping on the track. No. Just it scared me because that car, even though it barely touched it, guess what? Even if that car's rolling and it's still going 70 miles per hour, you hit one of those poles, you stop. Your brain inside your skull doesn't. So I've just been on that kick, and Larry Dixon and I and Del Worsham and a lot of the drivers were, that was our main concern, is we didn't want to lose another Scott Coletta. So anyway, that was kind of my comment. I wasn't sure I should even put it out there. I didn't feel like I wanted the track upset me with me, but anyway, Jimmy Nix's life didn't need to be not forgotten, and why he was killed.
It's an uncomfortable part of this thing that we're all in, but if we could have gone back to 1999 or 2000 and have great conversations about safer barriers and Hans devices, like on the NASCAR side of things, certainly specifics in our sport as well, it is uncomfortable talking about safety, because I really do believe like that superstitious thing, like if you talk about it, it might happen. Like as long as you don't talk about it, maybe it won't happen and you'll never have to think about it. That's how kind of people work. And now that we brought it up, it's like, but we just saw a car roll and slide on the wall and almost go into the scoreboard. And it's like, we can't have that. We don't want that. So it's worth talking and thinking about. It's out there.
Yeah. And you don't want, listen, and in everything that's happened, we lost my good friend, Blaine Johnson, Eric Medlin, Darrell Russell. You don't want their death to go in vain. We don't want it just to be a waste. We need to learn from it. Just like Dale Earnhardt has saved how many lives by what happened in his death. Same thing with all these drivers. With Blaine, we fixed the turnouts.
Yes.
Scott Coletta, we shortened the tracks up and cleaned up the top end area. You just go down the list. Darrell Russell, I mean, what came through protruded the roll cage, and now we have these coverings, everything. But I'm reminded, Joe, especially now, there's a number 4 sticker right in front of me every run I make. I'm teamed with John Medlin, who his son was a great friend of mine, Eric Medlin. And the safety that went into Eric losing his life has saved a lot of our lives and a lot of damage that we would have later in life, a lot of us. And of course, probably saved John Force's life, who also after that, because of his accident, probably saved a bunch of lives. So we just, we need to learn from it. And the fact that if something like that happens and we just kind of go onward, like you said, no bueno. That's no good. From a paid driver like me, I don't own these cars, and I don't want cash is king to be thought by some other owner. And Don Schumacher is the best at thinking about us first with safety. So are most of the owners. So I'm not trying to pull anybody out of, I'm just wanted to make sure that I pointed that out and maybe brought it to the attention of maybe somebody about to put up new scoreboards, perhaps.
Well, simple as that. Mapping out a track. Their scoreboards are bad. They're going to build a new thing. Should we move it? It's going to cost us 10 grand. Should we move it? Yes, you should move it. You should
10 feet would be amazing. 20 feet would be awesome. If you could make it just on the outside. There's a lot of things, but anything would be better than nothing.
Lots of contracting companies looking for work. Lots of PPP money sloshing around out there. Come on, guys. Loans are cheap. Do it. Safety thing. Think of the nice story it will generate for your facility. All right. Final question. Tony Stewart is a big part of NHRA drag racing now. He went to Frank Hawley's and all of that stuff. And there's rumors about, everybody wants to get him in a nitro car. I want to do it. I want to talk about something different. He's got this Superstar Racing series getting ready to go off. And it's a bunch of classic legend type folks like Willie T. Ribbs is going to be in there and all of that. I think it's interesting. It's like an IROC series. You never really got the opportunity to do the IROC thing like we had all wanted and felt like you could. This is a new opportunity. I know a lot of it is same weekends as our stuff, but if it wasn't, right? If there was an off weekend, if there was a way to do it, I really think Ron Capps should be invited to do this. If you were invited to participate, would you accept?
Oh, absolutely. And I could think of a handful of other great NHRA drivers. Doug Coletta, to me, is probably the most talented driver for sure on the NHRA grounds. And you could probably go outside of that. And Doug's in a dirt car and in a road race car and anything. So, yeah, I would do it. In a heartbeat. And I knew that when they started doing it, I talked to one of Tony's people in the very beginning, and I knew scheduling was going to be huge because so that's why it's a lot of people out of racing and retired. Paul Tracy, Michael Waltrip, mixed in with some other ones, but they're not racing all the races. So there are going to be some dates opening up. So you never know. Well,
Cruz
and I got to do I did the prelude every year of that and had a blast. Cruz came on board into that and showed how good a driver he was on dirt. And, man, I would love to. It's going to be fun to watch no matter what. And Tony and Ray and those guys, they're serious about it.
No, can we have a movement and make it happen? Like draft apps?
I think you just started one.
Well, exactly. We need to create the hashtag. We got people out there. You have to, what dates can you do though? Like we have to figure it out. You got all your NAPA responsibilities, but if there's a date, we need to do, caps for Superstar Racing or,
I've looked at dates and I know Tony, he's come to almost all of our races and he's got a jet and I know he'll be flying to some of these. So Tony, I don't know. And he's in the pit area next to mine, but I'll get aside. We'll see. There are some dates that aren't there, and I know there's some spots that they're going to fill. So you never know.
Well, think about the growth of the audience. I know it's on another network, of course. In fact, our sport will be on Fox Sports 1 on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, Sunday night viewing, guys. So there you go. Love Fox and the guys, but. Think of the new audience. Like you got Tony Kanaan, Willie T. Ribbs, Bill Elliott, Marco Andretti, Ernie Francis Jr., who's from Hollywood, Florida, where I am, by the way. But Ron Capps being involved in some of these races, then it all of a sudden transcends left turn racing, round racing, road racing. It becomes a true across motorsport brand. I think Ron Capps has to be there, or Cruz, or Doug, or all. I think it really has. So let's start the hashtag. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but you guys out there in the WFO universe, Tony is rumored to have seen WFO at least once. That's all I will say. Maybe he's out there right now watching. Ron Capps should be part of it, Tony. Serious, Tony.
I joked with him when he was getting in the top fuel car. I said, hey, when you're done with that, you want to get in a real car. You need to hop in a funny car. Now he's eating good. And I said, you don't have to eat that good in a funny car. Look at guys like Hagen. I mean, you don't necessarily have to weigh 140 pounds. People say, look at the weight, how big that guy is. Well, it's one of the quickest cars there is. So funny cars are a little bit different, but we joked about it a little bit. And I think Tony would love a funny car, probably a little more than he would a dragster. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I appreciate it, Joe. It'd be a blast to do. And if it happens, and we definitely have to make sure you come out and hang out.
Well, I don't even care about, I mean, it would be great, but my mission, drag racer, in particular, Ron Capps, part of this thing. It's got to happen. Should have happened with IROC years ago. I know you were knocking at the door and it just didn't quite work out. I remember the Prelude. I watched that. I even downloaded the pay-per-view because you guys were in it. It brought me in genuinely. There has to be many other people who feel the same way. We got to get this done. It's got to happen. All right, Ron, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Everybody good? Fam good? Everybody good? Everything good? How's cousin Donnie?
Donnie's good. Everybody, this is the first race coming up in Vegas. So I'm going to have my family out since COVID. I mean, I didn't get to bring them all, any of them really, through the COVID races. So we got a great bunch of friends, the Palmer Electric, people that have a suite there, and they have a double suite now. They support the track. The track lost some suites, and so they stepped up and bought another one. So cousin Donnie, my whole family, the kids, first race that they've been to since the Winter Nationals before COVID. So wow. I'm excited about, I'm very excited about that. And we're staying at the Sahara, good group of people there that sponsor us for the weekend. So yeah, I'm looking forward to things relaxing a little bit and seeing the sold out amount of fans come out and just getting back after it.
Exciting. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Anything else that you want the audience to know before you go into the season? I know we got one race under the belt, but for me, it's all forward. We're going to have a great year. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, falling in love with drag racing again as we get back out there and get to go to all these places we missed last year. But is there anything you want to leave the WFO universe off with?
No, real quick, we still have our protocols at the track. I know some fans got a little weirded out. We're still not allowed to technically touch people. We're told to sign all of our hero cards by NHRA and put them out there pre-signed. There are times I've had fans, I've told them I'll leave them there and I'll write a name on them and they come back and get it, but I technically can't touch them or be near them. You got to wear face covering. We have to wear it. Yeah, listen, we're not happy about it, but we have to do it to keep racing. So there you go. And so please, fans, I know you may not like it. It's for all of us to get back out there. It's for you, the fans, to come hang out. Just deal with it for now. It's gonna help us get back to racing at every track. And it just takes one or two times that somebody doesn't comply or we get, caught by somebody doing something dumb and not social distancing or whatever. I still try to take pictures with fans. I just have the kids stand in front of me 6 feet and have the parents take the picture. And they can look back and say that was a COVID picture, and we joke about it. But it's we just have to be careful. So don't think that we're not being or being rude or something by not going out there like I've always gone out and signed and let kids help me pack the chutes and things like that. We just have to be careful at this point. It's slowly getting better.
It is. We're inching towards normalcy. We know it's not going to be normal this weekend or next weekend, but we will get there. Vaccines are happening, all that stuff. It's not all going to be good news from here on out. There's going to be a bump in the road. You follow the news, you know that. But you get to be at the track. You just can't be exactly as we were 2 years ago just yet. Like, I think we can deal with it. Those of us who really love drag racing.
And you still get to stand at the ropes and smell nitro.
Of course. Exactly.
That doesn't change.
Exactly. And
every ticket's a pit pass, Joe.
You can yell at him. You don't get up and talk to him. You just shout at him. Like, hey, Caps. People will do it.
They do anyway, most of the time. Of course. Especially if I own money.
Exactly. We won't go into that on this one. Ron, thank you very much. Great conversation. Really appreciate you. Good luck this season, you and Dean and John, and watching that team. And of course, 4 wide, who knows? Maybe you'll be on next week after winning this thing. We just don't know. You control that. But I appreciate your time this week, and thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And keep it up, Joe. We love the show.
Will do. Thanks, Ron. Take care. There goes Ron Capps with us here on WFO Radio. How about that, everybody? Capps, listen, that's everything. That's everything I wanted to talk to him about. That we can talk about here. Ron Capps for the hour. Very Larry King-like. here on WFO Radio. All right, final comments in the comments section. Put them up there. Your thoughts. I didn't get to all of your questions because some of them had been answered and all of that. But final comments in the comments section, and then I'll read them at the end. But right now I want to tell you about, the people who make it possible, right? Total Seal piston rings. Total Seal. If you're building an engine and you watch this show every day and you don't use Total Seal piston rings, I'm taking it as a personal affront. You're using our product for free. TotalSeal.com. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Brian Massengill, Linda Massengill, Judson Massengill, and so many people coming up through the ranks who have made it big. And I always think about Travis Hilger, and I think about Colliner on the Stanfield team, and the people who they had a plan. Like, I'm going to go here and get knowledge and end up working on a race team. And they did, and they are. Now, not everybody wants to do that, but the ones that want to, that's the way to do it. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Frank, it's been interesting over the past couple of weeks. We had Dave Fletcher last week on Thursday, who was hired by Austin Coyle and worked for Frank and Lana for a while on the show last week. And he told some Frank Hawley stories. Just everybody is connected to Frank Hawley one way or another. And it's great. Like, they have created a presence in the sport of drag racing, second to none, and been supporting WFO Radio since the very beginning. I remember reaching out to Lana like, hey, would you guys want to be part of this podcast that nobody listens to? And they were all in. And so hopefully our audience will go there and drive dragsters. That's it. Courses start at $399 and you get 3 runs down the track and pretty much a half day with Frank Hawley. If you like drag racing, my goodness, they set up races. You can race against your friends. They'll set up a race for you, like your wedding party, your bachelor party, you and your clients, you and your sales team. Corporate events is what I'm saying. Like, they will create something for you. And you just show up with the clothes on your back and they handle it all. They travel around the country to places that they can go. Go to frankhawley.com. Find out more. It is great. We really appreciate them. And of course, Marvin Rodak, my buddy. The Epic Nitro Madness Blend is what I'm drinking this weekend. So give Marvin a call, 817-924-6821, and get the coffee and enjoy the coffee, and we'll do the experience together. Also, I sent out some of these face coverings. I'm going to do a face covering swap with Ron Capps where I'll be getting the better end of the deal. But $10, and today I threw in some stickers and a WFO patch. And I cover the shipping. So I'm losing. But that's not what it's about. It's about the WFO logo out there and you telling people, like, they ask what it is and you say it's about drag racing and that you can watch on Facebook and YouTube and subscribe, click the bell, all that stuff. So it works out for me. Go to the WFO Radio store on WFOradio.com and do it. And I'll send you some stickers if you just want some stickers. I just sent out a bunch of stuff today. Sammy Eubanks, you got a package coming. Sammy going to be out there in Vegas. Where's Sammy today? I don't know. Now, Caps, this is, to me, I think he needs to grow the mustache back is really what I take out of this. Like, at some point, the stash has got to come back. All right, let's see what people have to say. We're not going super long today, unless we already have. Let's see. The IROC deal, the Superstar Racing Tony Stewart deal. Okay, so Tony Stewart has created a thing. He's going to try to do he's trying to do something. He's got a project he's trying to create another racing series to showcase. And right now it's not on Elio Castroneves, Bobby Labonte, Bill Elliott, Tony Stewart, Tony Kanaan, Michael Waltrip, Marco Andretti. Caps should get the invite, Tony. And I'm not trying to force your hand. We don't have the power to do that. Like, I will be more interested in watching if Ron Capps or Doug Coletta or Cruz Pedregon or all of them represented drag racing as part of this. They are talented enough to get out there. I mean, Ernie Francis, who is an extremely talented Trans Am Series driver, has Ernie been on dirt? I don't know. To see what it all is and what the stakes of each race are. It's going to be changing conditions. I think, are they all dirt? I don't even know that. But let's get Caps out there. Let's just start small. Just an idea for your consideration. Let's see. I lost my spot. Good show today. Oh, here's one. In my opinion, make the scoreboards near the starting line. Fans get to see better. Okay, so I had the thought experiment today about scoreboards. I look at every track, and my opinion is not, it doesn't matter all the time. I'm a guy with a show, and I can say things, and you can always point out a negative about everything, but I'm thinking about safety at all times, because it's something I don't want to experience. It's selfish. I don't want to have to go through any negative thing, for the sport, for the business, for all of it. And scoreboards have been on my mind for a long, long time. Anything, you can see it, anything. And when you see something that needs to be changed, it means someone's going to have to spend money that they could be using for something else, because the scoreboard's already there. It's already up. It's already there. It's already doing its thing. Everybody knows that listens to WFO on a regular basis. To me, the number one thing that you've got to have improved and updated is the bathrooms, right? In particular, the ladies' rooms. Like, if you make your ladies' rooms very nice and beautiful and acceptable, then every person can bring their whole family. And you can increase your ticket sales by just having nice women's bathrooms. That's me. Maybe there's a reason I'm not a track operator. Maybe I should, create another 200 square feet of asphalt pit area. I don't know, but I'm a big believer, having gone with my mother for so many years to the drag races. And then when she stopped going to the drag races, that was pretty much the primary reason, just incompatibility with the bathroom facilities for the ladies out there. That's what I would do. But boy, scoreboards. And I'm not naming any specific track. We just had an incident this weekend, which could have been way worse if it was like 50 feet further down the racetrack. So something to think about. That's all. Just putting it out there into the current consciousness of drag racing. Let's see. Jim says, you're the best. See you Saturday. I went to many IROC races. I feel like I've fallen behind. Jim, this is the best interview I've heard in 71 years of loving racing and everything that goes with it. Thank you very much, Jim. Yeah. The best interview in 71 years of drag racing. Awesome. Stick with WFO, man. It's going to get better and better. I've been holding back these past 10 years until we grew the audience to a significant number. And now you will begin to get the good stuff. The Patreons, of course. Let's see. Nobody had mask on. I won't say nobody, but many didn't. But they were asked. And those of us who believe in compliance, we wore the mask. I wore the mask. And that's it. You got to wear the mask. I did a social media bit, and I have to wear the mask. It's the rule. I'm working there. I have to wear the mask. And we put it out, one of the Attention in the Pits shows, and I'm wearing the mask. And it's obviously not what I would choose in a normal 2019 situation. And people are like, why are you wearing that mask? It's like, you know why. You know why. Why are you bothering me about this? Really? Why are you bothering me? Why are you saying such a thing? You know the answer to that question. You're just like puking some of your negativity out on me. Nobody wants to be in a pandemic situation where we have to wear a mask. It's hot and it's uncomfortable. Why are we doing this? Oh, yeah. To stop spread so we can get past the virus, so we can actually go back to never wearing masks. By wearing the mask, you get never mind. The people are removable at this point. That's the answer. Fantastic show. People are removable at this point. Nobody is convincing anybody one way or the other. So you wear it, you don't wear it, you buy it, you don't buy it. That's your business. But don't reach out to me and tell me I shouldn't wear mine because I want to be in compliance. That's where you jump over the line. Does nitro kill COVID? I don't know. I feel great out there. People who listen to the Ignition Show know that I've been very serious about this from jump. From very beginning, extremely serious. When I'm at the race, I feel comfortable. Unless somebody without a face covering comes up and like talks into my face. Other than that, I'm outside. I feel great. They got 50% capacity. I think that's great. Drag racing fans, like, do what you're going to do. But when I get the opportunity to go to a race, I'm going. It's going to be great. I'm so looking forward. Atlanta is my next race. Mark, thanks, Joe. Thank you, Mark. If that's the Mark I think it is. Spider-Man, what's up? Where are you going to be, Larry McBride? You're going to be somewhere that we're going to be. Where was it? Virginia? Where was it? That's my dad. What's up, Dad? Sharon. Chuck, great job with Cap's interview, Joe. I really enjoyed the hour. Caps has, really been one of the best on WFO since the very beginning. Always extremely helpful. Willing to do things that are not normal. And I appreciate that. Great interview. Good show. Thank you, Chuck. Jeff, I love the coffee. He doesn't care about the show. He loves the coffee. You got to have some Rodax. Jeff, I've been telling these people about the Rodax coffee for a long time now. It's the kind of thing that when you're ready, you do it. And once you do it, now listen, it's more expensive. It's not Folgers crystals. It's not the garbage Bonnie buys at the store. It's next level stuff from all around the world. I had some coffee from the Congo the other day. And Marvin gets this stuff. You got to be a serious coffee person. If you're into the Folgers, this is not for you. In fact, you're not allowed to buy it. I'll be wearing my WFO shirt all day. I'll say, okay, that's great. And you can even get another one at the Nitrofish trailer if they're there. Great show, Joe. Thank you very much. Got my, I got the hat. Might as well get the mask. Exactly. What hat is that? WFO hats? Is that happening? Ron Capps is one of the best. So open and honest and a straight talker. Show of the year, Joe. Thanks for asking my question. Support WFO. Yeah, Kev's one of our Patreons. We've got about 40 of them now. And let's see. They could pick up more fans if they get some NHRA guys. The Superstar Racing Series, absolutely. Drag racers get disrespected in the world of motorsports by a lot of different people. They do it different. They're doing a different discipline of driving. But as Tony Stewart said in his video with Frank Hawley, that there's many different things that have to be perfect. And that's what drag racing is. You do not really get, I mean, sometimes you can, but if everything goes right on the other lane, you can't make a mistake. The angry boomers complain all the time. They don't care. They're all vaccinated anyway. Didn't you, South Park? Some get it, some don't. It doesn't matter. Virginia, I knew it. Can you believe that was in there and it stuck, Spider-Man? Who knew? Are going to the Pomona races? I don't know. I'll be at the Southern Nationals and I'll be at Houston. That's what I know right now. Final comment. Hats, where? Oh, yeah, you got to listen to the Ignition Show. There's been some movement on WFO Radio hats, which will be made available to the Patreons first because they are Patreons. But there is movement on WFO Radio hats, the big hat quandary that has plagued us for so many years. There's been some movement there. It's like that big ship that was blocking the Suez Canal for like 2 weeks, and there was no movement. There was no movement in the WFO hat game for a long time. But now there is movement once again. All right, everybody. That's it. This is the show. You can always email me, joe@wforadio.com. Thoughts, anger, that kind of stuff. The WFO store is ready and waiting. There's all kinds of great products there. Amazon products, drag racing themed gifts. The new Warren Johnson book, the Snake book, which we talked about a little bit, still up there in the WFO store. If you've got a product that you think should be in there, that I should post up in there, let me know what it is. As far as the show tomorrow, not really sure. I think that the Ron Capps interview is strong enough to take us into the racing action on Friday. We'll see. The archive is loaded, though. Ignition, Alan Reinhart yesterday was fantastic. You gave me a hat at Gainesville Ale House many years ago when someone started a Top Fuel car in the parking lot. Wow, Bob, you've been around all that time? That was early on WFO. The original WFO hats, they're big-time collectibles now. Huge. Mrs. Fleetree has a crush on Capps, so I'm always ragging on Capps when he's on, even though he's the man. Yeah, that you got to do it. All right, everybody, really appreciate you. Remember, YouTube, WFO Radio TV. Subscribe and click the bell. So when we do our Joe Goes drag racing programs, you'll get a message and all the good stuff we do on YouTube. Like I said, the good stuff we plan to do on YouTube. For all you racers out there, if you're going to be in Vegas, Denso, 4 wide, good luck. Have fun. Appreciate you. And we'll be back with results on Tuesday with Alan Reinhart, and we'll get the race winners on. It's going to be great. And just looking forward to the weekend. Really appreciate all you guys, WFO Radio listeners. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio. And thanks to this guy.